Hello and welcome to another tutorial here with Fly the Noob. Today we're going to be taking a look at the newly released Inibuilds A340-300 for Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024. This aircraft is only available via the marketplace in 2024. It's not out for 2020, and at the moment it's not available in the Ini Manager or the Ini Store or whatever you want to call it. Now, this tutorial, before we begin, I want to make a disclaimer here. I am not a real-world A340 pilot. I have no intimate knowledge of the standard operating procedures involved in flying this aircraft in real life, or how airlines actually do it. This is purely meant to be a flight simmer's guide to getting the Airbus A340 up and running from the ground. So let's see how this goes, and hopefully you find it useful. Alright, here we are in the cockpit, and this is the EIS-1, sorry. I believe it is, I'm not so sure. But yeah, this is the older variant of the A340 that ships with the purchase. As you can see, they have the older CRT monitors here in the cockpit, which are round and curved. Now, the most important thing, the first thing that we have to look at in this aircraft is... Oh, sorry, my simulation was paused there. The first thing we have to take a look at in this aircraft is the tablet. Now, the tablet here is very fascinating. This is one of the best EFBs that I've seen on any aircraft for Microsoft Flight Simulator. So we're going to take a quick look through it because there are lots and lots of functionality hidden in this EFB here. So firstly, Flight Planner. Now, you no longer need to use any external way of making SimBrief plans. You don't need to open up your browser. You don't need to use the tablet. You don't need to do any of that. You can just type it in right here and generate your plan directly from this page. And that is really, really useful, right? You can also import an existing SimBrief plan right here. Okay, which we'll do right now. I'm going to press that. And there you go, from Dubai to Muscat. We've got that plan. We can update the weather there. Okay, we can also view the flight plan in the traditional method right there. Okay, we can jump to sections of the OFP using these, which are very, very useful. We can increase the size, etc., etc. All right. Now, we can also check out the payload and refueling part. So we can import all our weights from SimBrief if we like, as such. And we can technically load them with GSX if we've got the integration turned on, which we'll come to in a second. But yeah, we can get the payload from SimBrief, we can get the fuel from SimBrief, and we can press instant load to load the aircraft if we want to, which is what I'm going to do here. Okay, I'm going to press instant load, and that's done. Okay, good. Ground equipment will give us an overview of all the doors and also the buttons for arming and disarming the door, which either activates or deactivates the slide mechanism. So that is also available to us. We've got ground equipment here. We've got GPUs, we've got air starter unit, we've got an ACU, we've got the chocks, covers, we've got ramp, jetways, catering, and luggage. If you want to use the stuff from here rather than the GSX stuff, you can do that. You've got your pushback here as well, which is a very nice set of controls. Control your cabin lighting from here. You've got your doors, arming and closing. Dirt and weathering of the model can also be controlled from here. So if you want to see more dirt and weathering on the outside of the model, I don't know if it affects the interior as well. I'm not so sure. But you've got those options available to us, as well as snow accumulation if you want to see that in effect. Okay, brilliant. Now here we've got your GSX menu. Now you can turn the integration on and that will bring GSX right here. Okay, and you can pretty much ask the aircraft to load using GSX. See that? You can press load with GSX. Now currently for me it's not working. I don't know if it's working for other people, but for me GSX just can't work with this aircraft for some reason, at least not from the menu. I can, however, if I turn off the integration, use GSX from the menu here, and it works kind of just fine. All right. So yeah, that option is available. I don't know if future updates will make that work, or if there's something I'm doing wrong. I'm not so sure about that. You've got your OFP here, which we already took a look at. We've got takeoff performance calculator, which you can literally just sync. Okay, obviously there's no data in FMS. We haven't turned any of that on. And you can literally choose whatever you need to, and you can calculate your data right here. Okay, so we've got all of that, takeoff performance, as well as your landing performance. Okay, so we can select an airport. Perhaps for today, we can select that. And we can sync everything that we need to. All right, so yeah, if we have it, we can sync SimBrief there. Okay, we need the FMS to be on. All right, we've got charts here. Now, obviously, if you have Navigraph, you can use Navigraph. If you don't want to use Navigraph, you don't have to. You still have access to the default charts right here, and they will show up just fine. This is very useful. I find it very, very useful here. So whether you're using charts that are Navigraph or not, you can use that here. En route map, again, if you're flying along and you want to take a look, you can do that here as well. Okay, maintenance. Here, this is where you can reset your brake temperatures, get some maintenance work going on in case something is not functioning as it should. You can do that right here. You also have options for stowing the rat back up should it deploy. And you can you have an overview of some of the systems here as well. In addition to that, you've got failures and situations available. You can have a play around with this should you wish to. Okay, you've got a situation of a bird strike, so you can stop that if you like, start it, it's all up to you. Okay, you've got your autosave, so the aircraft can autosave where it was. Now, when I try to load from autosave, all it does is take me back to the GPS position where I was. It doesn't really do anything else in terms of the state of the aircraft, at least for me. So it's not very convenient to use, but that option is available to you. You've got your throttle calibration, which is very important. Make sure you have got your correct options. If you don't have a reverser axis, set no. Set the amount of axis you have for your throttle controls, whether you have 1, 2, 4. And yeah, you can set a bunch of options here. Set the correct options as you'd like. And there you go. From here, you can select a set of options. Okay, so you can customize this as you wish. You've got your EFB settings. You can disable the autosave if you want. As a matter of fact, I want it disabled. You've got a lot of stuff you can do here. Audio settings, you can change the balance. You've got your callouts that you can customize. You've got your connections to Navigraph if you want to use Navigraph charts. And you've got your SimBrief ID and all that stuff. Okay, perfect. These are some other extra options you can either enable or disable for your aircraft. Brilliant. So that is a quick overview of your tablet here. Now, if you come to the settings icon here on top, you can power it off, you can lock it, you can switch on turnaround mode if you're gonna do a return leg of the flight. You've got your time controls here, sim rate selectors, got your screen brightness, and this is also where you can select your panel states. Okay, brilliant. Given all that information, let's go overhead and get this aircraft powered up and see how that looks like. So firstly, I'm going to switch on that external power, and the reason I'm doing that is because just so I can see clearly. Batteries on, APU battery on, crew oxygen supply to on, ground control for recorder on, going to get the IRS systems on nav, all three of them. There we go. Then I'm going to arm the emergency lights like so. Going to get the cabin lights, or rather the passenger signs on. There we go. Got your nav light on position number 1, which is good. Your strobe lights to automatic, which is good. And there you go. All right. Initially, this is all we need to do. Now we can jump down to the FMC. Now, one more thing, in case you don't have external power available, obviously you just need to go to ground equipment and attach the GPU, in case you're confused about that. All right, so let's get back to our FMC here and see how we can move on from that. Let's press init. There you are. We can request our SimBrief plan. If you loaded it into the EFB, you can request it, and there you go. You have your SimBrief plan ready. IRS is currently aligning on your GPS. That's perfectly fine. We can clear that message, clear all of this. Very, very good. Let's go to our flight plan. Now, let's set our our departure out of OMDB. So we press that. Let's go to our departure. We're taking off from runway 30 left. We're going to put that in. We're going to use NV7 Foxtrot. We're going to put that in. Let's insert that. Very good. Okay, the rest of your plan should pretty much be automatically available to you. The en route waypoints, if you're importing them from SimBrief, they'll be available to you automatically. We'll also put in our arrival here. We're going to land into runway 08 left using the ILS. No arrival procedure here today, and I'm going to leave it like this. Now, I don't want to pass through the VOR MCT, so I'm just going to delete this here like so, and we're good. Okay, brilliant. We got a flight plan set. Next, now at this stage, you would normally want to begin boarding at least, right? So if you want to begin boarding, again, it depends on whether or not your GSX works. For me, it doesn't exactly work from the tablet. However, I can request it from here. Oh, did I just request deboarding? Sorry, I meant request boarding is what I meant. Okay, there we go. Okay, well, I think I requested deboarding, so I'm going to have to restart that. Let me just restart all of that. Give me a second. All right, so we are back in. Now let me request boarding once again correctly. Okay, we've got our jetway attached, which is good. Our door is not opening here, so that is interesting. Okay, boarding has been requested. We can open it manually in case something doesn't work. We can also get the cargo doors open there if we want to. What is GSX doing right now? So yeah, like I said, GSX does not really work very well with this particular aircraft, at least for me. Okay, so yeah, it's opened the wrong door, has it? Or is it the correct door? Oh, would you look at that? It actually opened the right door. Everything is working. We've got cargo loading coming up. Yeah, we've got cargo loading coming up and all that good stuff. So since we're expecting passengers to board, let's go ahead and start up the APU as well here. To do that, we're going to press the master switch on the APU. Wait a couple of seconds, press the start button. We'll leave the APU bleed on so that we've got packs running. As soon as APU becomes available, these fault lights will go away and we will have air conditioning in the cabin. Let's come back down here to our FMC and continue. Let's clear that. Let's go to performance. Okay, so now to compute the performance data, we need to use the tablet. We can come here. Oh, look at that. Passengers are loading via GSX. That's great. Let's come here. Takeoff performance. Let's sync everything. Okay. Right. Now, we have already applied the load, right, by pressing instant load. So the correct stuff will be, weights will be applied as well as the fuel. All right. So all this is just for the visuals. It's not actually adding to the payload at the moment. So we can go to takeoff performance. I can come back to our FMC here, go to init, go to the next page. And I'm going to click it to get that in, click it to get the block fuel in. So you only do this after you have loaded the aircraft fully. Then if you press these two buttons, you'll have your zero fuel weight center of gravity, and your block fuel set in. Okay. Now we can go back to performance page, come to the tablet here, sync everything, sync the weather, calculate, and we can send it to the flight management system there. So we've got all our takeoff data correctly. So let's go ahead and put that in. Flex temperature 53, 45, 50, 56. Okay, so 53 for flex temperature, 145, 150 was it? I'm not entirely sure now. Yep, 150 and 156. Okay, so we're going to put that in. 156, put that in. There you go. Now flaps and THS setting. Flaps 1, THS 5.2 up. So let's put that in. 5.2 up. Gonna put that in. There we go. We've got all of that done. Let's go towards the next phase. You don't really usually need to do anything here. It's all in managed, and we're going to leave it like this. Descend. This is approach. Now, when we are actually approaching our destination, that is the correct time to input the correct QNH, temperature, your wind, and your minimums, and select the landing configuration that you want to. But for now, we can go back to our flight plan page. And as you can tell, we've got VNAV available. All the correct altitudes are showing. And the flight plan is looking just fine, which is what we want. Brilliant. This is where we set the frequency for the radios, at least the nav radios. And since we're using ILS today, we've got that frequency automatically put in. It's a good idea to always double check that you've got the correct frequencies available, depending on which system you're using. Today we're using the ILS, and it's a good idea to make sure we have the right ILS frequency tuned in. Brilliant. All that is done. Now we come up here, get the pressure to the local pressure here on the altimeter. Okay, 10, 11 is the pressure there. I've done that. Switch on the flight directors, and let's put our initial climb out altitude. Now, depending on whether you're using ATC, this could be anywhere, 10,000, 5,000, and then you could be cleared to climb out to your cruising altitude. But today we're not using ATC, and I'm just going to climb out to my final cruising altitude of 25,000 feet directly. As you can see, you've got your dot available on these three. That means your speed is being managed by your FMC or your FMGS. Your heading is automatically being managed, in other words, nav mode. And you've got your dot next to the altitude as well, which means the aircraft can manage your altitude as well. Okay, all that is done. And we are done with the configuration of the aircraft. We just wait for the passenger loading to finish up. If that's already done, great. And we wait for the cargo to finish up probably. Okay, so cargo loading needs to finish up here. And once that's done, we can request pushback, get rid of everything, and get out of here. Our cargo loading and passenger boarding is finished. I've gone ahead and closed all the doors and armed all the slides. So we are ready here for pushback, and for today I'm going to actually use the pushback that's included in this aircraft rather than using GSX. So we can remove, well, before we remove the chocks, we got to make sure that we have got our parking brake on, which it is. So let's go ahead and remove the chocks here. If we come overhead, we know that our APU is actually running. So we no longer need external power. We can remove the GPU as well. Brilliant. Okay, so that means we are pretty much ready to push back and get on out of here. So let me go ahead and request pushback. Okay, there we go. Okay, we need to release the parking brake, obviously. There we go. We release parking brake, and we are pushing back as expected. Well, kind of, right? So we're pushing back at the moment. Brilliant. Now we can get ready to start our engines. To do that, let's go ahead and turn on the fuel pumps here. There we go. Let's turn on beacon lights. Brilliant. Okay, once all that's done, we can come down here, put that to ignition, get engine 2 going first. Okay, we can observe the engine starting right here. N2 is rising. Now, when N2 crosses 10 or when N1 crosses 10, I'm not too sure, but this is how I have been doing it so far. When N2 crosses 10, I can actually go ahead and flick open engine number 1 as well. and it doesn't seem to give me any issues during startup. So this is what I use at the moment, and it doesn't seem to give me any issues while starting up. It's also much quicker. So as you can see, both the engines are starting up fairly easily here. Okay, so we're going to wait for both of them to be available before we work on engine number 3 and 4. Let's wait for that. Okay, engine number 2 is available. There we go. Okay, we're waiting for engine number 1 now. And we're continuing our pushback. Let's see how far we need to go. Okay, I can turn this to the side. Oh, sorry, wrong side. Let's turn that like that. Okay, engine number 1 is available too. Let's go ahead and start up engine number 3. There we go. N2 is rising. We can stop our pushback right here, can't we? So let's go ahead and stop that pushback. We can put on our parking brake. There we go. N2 is greater than 10, and we can go ahead and turn on engine number 4 as well. Okay, so there we go. Engine number 4 rising as well, hopefully. Yeah, there we go. Okay, looking good. We'll wait for both these engines to become available. All right, we've got engine number 3 available, waiting on engine number 4 now to become available. In the meantime, we can go ahead and set our flaps down to the position for takeoff. There we go. We can arm the ground spoilers. Okay, we can set our auto brake to max here. Engine number 4 is also available here, so we can go ahead, turn off ignition, or rather we'll put engine start to the normal position. We can come up here, turn off APU bleed. We can also turn off the APU. We can put taxi light on like so. There we go. Brilliant. Okay. Just like that, we're pretty much ready to taxi on out of here. Now, before we do go, we need to check out our flight controls, make sure they're working. So there you go. You've got your flight control page right here, and you can monitor that from this display right here. There you go. Okay, flight controls functioning. Perfect. Now we need to set our takeoff trim. To do that, you can come to performance here, and you know it's 5.2 up. So we just need to set our trim right here to 5.2 up. Obviously, you can either spin this wheel like this, which is going to take a while, or you can use your allocated controls. So I'm going to go to 5.2 up here. For takeoff, that's around 5.2, right? Yeah, that's somewhere around 5.2. There we go. Brilliant. And we are pretty much ready for takeoff. Predictive wind shear systems right here. We need to take care of that too. So PWS, we can put that on automatic. We can select system 1 or 2. I usually go with system 1. You can put this to weather or turbulence or map or whatever you like, but I like to leave it on weather. And we need to make sure that this is on here. Our TCAS does not need to be on just yet. I like to put this on, altitude reporting on, and I like to put this on standby. All right, at least for now. Okay, that gets us ready to taxi out of here, and we can go ahead and release our parking brake. That should get you gently rolling here, as you can see. And you can taxi out to the runway and hold short at this point. So that is what I'm going to do at this point. If you like, you can perform the takeoff configuration test here. So if you press that, you can see takeoff configuration normal. We're ready to go. So I'm going to go ahead, taxi to the end of the runway, hold short, and then we're going to configure ourselves up for runway. Oh, tiny little thing that doesn't really make a practical difference. You can uncage the indicator here, which you're supposed to do basically when you are standing still and before everything is fired up, by the way. But yeah, doesn't really matter. Practically doesn't make much of a difference for most flight simmers anyway. So we're going to continue this taxi, and I'll see you as I hold short of our takeoff runway. Alrighty, here we are holding short of the runway. There was a fairly long taxi there. Nonetheless, we're holding short of the runway. Few things to do here. We can turn on our landing lights there. We can put the nose light to takeoff position. You can switch on our strobe lights if we like to, which we should really. If it's nighttime, or if you want to, you can put the nav and logo lights to position number 2. Once that's done, you can come to your TCAS here and set it to TA or TARA, whichever you like. I usually like to leave it on TA because of to avoid all the warnings, because I have traffic injection usually when I fly. So anyway, all that is done. Takeoff configuration is normal. We are ready to take off. You can go ahead and release the parking brake and taxi on towards the runway. So let's do that right now. Give it a little bit of thrust there. We can go ahead and taxi ourselves on to the runway. So I'm going to line up with the runway, and then we'll perform a quick takeoff. We'll see what we need to do after takeoff to enjoy our flight all the way till cruise. There we are, ladies and gentlemen. I am kind of lined up with the runway here. Our aircraft is ready to take off. And do check out the cabin in this aircraft. It's absolutely stunning. There's some good opportunity to set up some really good cabin view there. Anyway, I'm going to come back into the cockpit. We're ready for takeoff. So let's go ahead and do that. Release the parking brake. Let's set our takeoff to flex here. There we go. And we are on our way. Okay, let's just get ourselves a little lined up better. There we go. That's much better. $100 knots. Use rudder after 100 knots. One. Let's rotate. Be gentle with that. Okay. Let's put our gear up. Gear going up. Excellent. So a decent climb rate on this. We can put our flaps up to position 0. And we can put our lever to the climb detent right here. Like so. There we go. Okay. We're hand flying the aircraft at the moment. Obviously, at this point, you can give it off to the autopilot if you like. Press this, and autopilot is taken over, and out we go. Look at that. Despite the aircraft being famously underpowered and stuff, I have so far found that performance of this aircraft is very, very good. At least in the simulator, it seems to give me no issues. It's very lovely to fly, gives me decent climb, so not much of an issue. Okay, so now we're gonna have to wait till 10,000 feet to turn off the landing lights. That's what's usually done, as well as put our altimeters to standard as we cross the transition altitude. So we're gonna wait for those two key moments along our climb. Apart from that, there isn't much else to do in this cockpit. So I'm going to wait till we cross 10,000 feet first. We're going to turn off our landing lights. Right, we're just about passing through 10,000 feet here, as you can see. So let's go ahead and turn off that landing light. Obviously, you can turn off the nose lights much earlier than that. We're done with that. Since it's daytime, I can put nav and logo lights to position 1. I can bring the passenger signs to off here, or we can leave it on automatic, doesn't matter. There we go. So now I'm going to wait for the transition altitude, which happens around 13,000 feet for the area around Dubai, where we've just taken off from. Oh, and our ground spoilers are still armed. You should disarm that right after takeoff, really. But, you know, it's all right. So we've gone ahead and disarmed that. Just remember to disarm it immediately after takeoff. So yeah, everything else is looking pretty good here. 13,000 feet should come up any second, and then we'll go ahead and set our altimeters to standard. There we go. We've just crossed our transition altitude. As you can see, the QNH is blinking here. So we come here and do that. Press change it up to standard. I did that with the scroll wheel of the mouse. Obviously, it depends on which control you have set up for that. Anyway, so that is done, and we've got standard going on. We are climbing out of here. Everything is looking perfectly as it should. There is the city of Dubai right there ahead of us. So there we go. Hope you guys found that takeoff tutorial useful here. Okay, there we go. Nice and easy, out of Dubai we go. Now there is nothing much to do usually, except to climb out to your cruising altitude and continue cruise until you reach your top of descent. So I hope you guys found that tutorial useful. If you did, please leave a like, consider subscribing to the channel. Once again, thank you so much for watching, and I shall see you in the next one. Thank you very much.